Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Today in Web3. Hope you had a good 4th of July weekend. I know the 4th is tomorrow, but it's the weekend, so everybody was probably celebrating in one way or the other over the weekend. It is Monday, July 3rd, 2023. Before I get into today's crypto news, I just have a little rant about something. But before I say that rant, I want to say the person that I'm talking about here, I respect a lot. He's a national hero. He's an inspiration. He has accomplished and checked all the black boxes across the board in his life. Nobody won more than this guy. And who is that guy? It's the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. They should change the rule about being president to allow him to run, because I would love to see him on a ticket, see what he got, go up there and talk to people. You don't like Arnold? Then you can email me, bookings@todayinweb3.com. But over the weekend, a lot of newspapers are running the headline, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, warns against AI because he's worried that Skynet will become a reality. But even though he checked all the boxes, he was a governor, he was an action movie star, he was a world champion bodybuilder. Whatever he wanted to put his mind to, he did, and he excelled to be number one. I always find it interesting that these newspapers and these outlets try to find celebrities to comment on these huge issues that they are not experts in. Now, look, Arnold, he probably knows a little bit, a thing or two. He has advisors and so on and so forth. But it's like we always run to these celebrities to try to figure out these huge moral question and issues. It reminds me of that Dave Chappelle skit, remember? Where it's like, I need to find Ja Rule. I need to make sense of all this.
I think when bad shit happens to me, I'll be in the crib like, oh my God, this is terrible. Could somebody please find Ja Rule, get hold of this motherfucker so I can make sense of all this. Where is Ja? God, me Ja Rule.
Anyway, that was my rant this morning. If you disagree with anything I said, always bookings@todayinweb3.com. Let's get into the crypto news. As we know, BlackRock filed an application for a so-called spot Bitcoin ETF, and everybody is following suit, from ARK Invest to Fidelity and so on and so forth. Well, with the quickness, the SEC came back and said that the wave of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds or ETF applications this month are inadequate. And they said that the SEC doesn't think that the Bitcoin ETF applicants have been specific enough of how they're going to manage a surveillance sharing agreement. The agreement is meant to deter fraud and manipulation by ensuring that the fund issuer is monitoring market trading activity, clearing activity, and customer identity. So far, the SEC said that all Bitcoin ETF applications have fallen short in this regard. So, like I said, about 3 weeks ago, BlackRock came in, and in quick order, the SEC comes back and says, no, try again. It's unclear what the plan is going forward for all of these applicants, but please, BlackRock, do not quit on us. Let's get this done. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, or the MAS, is the country's chief financial regulator. They will enforce a ban on lending and staking for retail customers, retail traders, of course, being individual traders, like the mom and the pop, as opposed to institutional clients. And this is a measure that they've been talking about since last October. The regulator will also require that exchanges move customers' digital assets into a trust before the end of the year. This is to prevent an FTX-style scenario where their funds are commingled or traded. So what they're doing is that Singapore says, hey, look, if you're going to be an exchange in Singapore and you're holding people's funds, you got to make sure that this is going into a trust. You can't just put it in your bank account. You can't just put it into wherever you're keeping these funds and say they aren't commingled. You need to set up a trust that's registered with us and put those funds in there to assure, to give us confidence that you are not commingling those funds. And by the way, you can't use those customers' funds and stake them and loan them and try to create yield services for the retail investors. The MAS said this will mitigate risk of loss or misuse of customer assets and facilitate the recovery of customers' assets in the event of a digital payment token or cryptocurrency service provider is insolvent. Singapore has a rule that 90% of customers' crypto be held in crypto wallets, cold wallets. They're not required to be onshore. However, there are places like Hong Kong that require 98% to be in crypto wallets. First of all, I think this is a good idea. A trust set up for clients' funds so they're not commingled, and it assures somebody that, hey, your funds are safe. This is a great idea. But it just shows the robustness and the thought and detail that other countries are putting into their digital asset policies and regulations that the United States is not doing. Again, dysfunctional regulators, dysfunctional government, and that moves to our next story of, as you remember, Coinbase is getting sued by the SEC. Unlike Robinhood's bitch ass, pardon me if you're a big fan of Robinhood, I'm really upset with Robinhood with what they decided to do here. Robinhood just capitulated, and the SEC said, oh, all of these are securities, and they said, oh, okay, then we'll just delist them. Even though they were offering products, people were holding them, people were trading them in Robinhood app, and just because they said they might be securities, Robinhood delists them from their app. That is not what Coinbase did. Coinbase said, I'm going to fight you on this. Well, there's another UX exchange that's going to come in and help Coinbase out. That's Bittrex. Bittrex is challenging this approach, and they've adopted a similar approach to Coinbase and aligning their arguments closely to those made by Coinbase. This alignment indicates a strategic move by Bittrex to capitalize on the robust legal framework established by Coinbase and construct a unified defense against the SEC lawsuit. Bittrex's legal team identified what they perceive as shortcomings in this allegations and trading regarding the trading and investment contracts. While both Coinbase and Bittrex, they acknowledge that the additional sale of a certain crypto asset could be classified as security contracts. They contend that some of the classifications do not extend to assets traded on the secondary market. Basically, they're saying that maybe an IPO was a security, but now they've been trading, it seems as though they're acting like a commodity now, or something totally different. Remember, Bittrex was also sued by the SEC, and they've been fined by the SEC as well. Now, I applaud this from Bittrex. However, I worry that this is not going to go as far as Coinbase because their pockets aren't as deep as Coinbase's. Now, look, the founder and CEO of Bittrex, William Shahara, he definitely has more than two nickels to rub together. But he's not Brian Armstrong or Coinbase loaded, right? So I'm concerned that they're not going to get the legal team needed to really get the point across, nor will they have the financial ability to stay in the race until this is all done. Basically saying that, yes, they're consolidating with Coinbase. They're kind of like working together now. They're both standing up against the SEC. But if the SEC wants to drain somebody's assets, Bittrex, you're out of the game. Now we only have to deal with Coinbase unless Coinbase starts helping them out and they start pooling resources together. I want to say I applaud Bittrex because Robinhood, they just capitulate. They delisted the products. They're out of the game. Really, really crappy, honestly. Anyway, I hope that all of these things work out for the best and for digital assets in the future of this innovation. Now let's get into those crypto prices.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Before we get into those crypto prices, we have some crypto price news. Binance conducted the 11th Luna Classic burn of 2.65 billion tokens destroyed. As you guys know, burning a token just means moving them out of supply, and they're gone for good. The total number of Luna Classic tokens burned by Binance now exceeds 35.5 billion, with the community's burn surpassing 68 billion. There was a little pump in Luna. I looked today. It's not doing so well. And why? Because these are really insignificant burns. There's 5.8 trillion Luna Classic in circulation. So how much of the circulated Luna Classic assets have been burned? Only 1.8%. And in the media's bullshit headline of the day, it is titled, Remember Litecoin? Yes, of course, remember Litecoin. You're talking about the coin that is basically a Bitcoin clone to make it faster and easier to spend and transact with, that has been in the top 10 or top 15 for the past decade. You mean that one? The one that now is not in the number 9 spot? Yeah, I think we remember Litecoin. Anyway, I'll tell you the price in a minute, but it's been pumping. Its halving is coming up around August 2nd. And just to let you know, traditionally, Litecoin pumps before its halving and after its halving. And you're going to see some nice prices for Litecoin, but you're never going to see an all-time high until the Bitcoin halving. And that's when you're going to see all-time highs for not only Litecoin, but all of the big tokens, as well as Bitcoin. So it's all basically hinged on the Bitcoin halving, not the Litecoin halving. However, you will see a little bit of pump, and that's what I think is happening right now. What are the prices? The time is 10:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bitcoin is sitting at $30,677, up 0.5% in 24. Ethereum is at $1,963, up 2.5%, or 3.3 in 7. Tether's number 3. Binance is at $248, up around 1.5%, or 3.3% in 7. USDC is number 5, rounding off the top 10. We have XRP, Cardano, Doge, Litecoin, this token that apparently everybody forgot about, and Solana. The total market cap is at 1.21 trillion, a 1% increase over the last 24 hours, a Bitcoin dominance of 49.3, and an ETH dominance of 19.5. Well, that was our show today. I'll be back tomorrow. Same Matt time, same Matt channel. And until then, happy hodling, everyone.